Hello everyone, and welcome to another video and welcome to a book haul. It's been a while since I've done one of these, and just one of those things that, like many other booktubers, I have decided to cut back on, which I kind of did last year anyway. But I picked up some really good books from the Wemyss Bay bookshop last week, I believe, and I really want to show you them because some of them are really cool, and then I just wanted to show some other books that I had picked up over the past couple of months. Some of them are proofs and some of them are just books that I picked up randomly. So yeah, I'm just going to dive into them in a very random order. Feel like my full head is looking very shiny today, but we move. It's because of that light bouncing off of me. So let's start with this first book, which is The Man Who Died Twice, which is the second in the series of the Thursday Murder Club. I believe there is now a third book. I picked this up for £1. I picked up the original one in a charity shop as well, and I believe I was going on holiday sometime last year, and I was like, that is the perfect beach holiday read. And then I knew I wanted to pick up the second in the series, but I was like, I'm actually not prepared to pay full price for it because I know it will end up in a charity shop. And I was like, I'm prepared to pay £1 or thereabouts for it. And this was £1 in the Wemyss Bay charity shop, so perfect. So I'm currently on page 258 of this, and when I picked it up at the bookshop, they also gave me this lovely bookmark, which is just the front cover, the storefront of the store. I just put that down without explaining what this is about. So in the Thursday Murder Club is about 4 octogenarians. I am familiar with the word, but you know when you don't say a word very often? Yeah. So in the Thursday Murder Club, they solve old murders, or at least they used to talk about old murders, and in the previous book, they solved a murder, and which was happening in and around their sort of warehouse, and you get introduced to the 4 characters: Ibrahim, Joyce, Elizabeth and Ron. You get to learn about them, you get to learn about their families, and then you get introduced to the 2 sort of PCs who kind of like who help them, I suppose, and the octogenarians also help them. In this one, we pick up where we left off at the end of the first one, which was one of the characters, Elizabeth, receives a letter from someone, a guy named Michael Carmichael, who is someone who is dead. So she is very like, who the hell is this? So in this one, it says she's received a letter from an old colleague, a man who she had a long history with. And basically this man is someone in relation to her, but he basically works for MI5 and has stolen some diamonds. In the back here, it talks about the fact that bodies start piling up and they're piling up, and they're on a hunt for a killer. And yes, like people start dying, and it kind of is like, who's killing all these people, and also, where are the diamonds? Does this man have the diamonds? So I'm about halfway through. It is as amusing and pleasant as the first one was. Nothing spectacular, but it has really nice, like just additional stories added onto it. One of the people in the foursome has been attacked, so there is also the investigation of that. One of the characters, Joyce, has joined Instagram, so it's really funny. I think her Instagram name is like something joy69, and she's getting tons of messages, and she can't read them at the moment, but as a reader you're kind of aware of what kind of messages there are going to be. So overall it's like quite funny, it's very engaging, and I'm glad I was able to pick up the second copy. Really hoping I can find the third copy in a charity shop as well. So the first book that I picked up in Wemyss Bay bookshop was The Good Terrorist by Doris Lessing. I've had this recommended to me so many times, but by just like one person, just because they really like Doris Lessing's writing. And so when I saw this book, and there's another book I'm about to show you, I was like, yes, I'm finally going to read it, especially because I have seen people on BookTube talk about Doris Lessing and just how much they enjoy her writing. So I don't know too much about this book, but I do believe it is about a woman named Alice who squats with some people in London, and this is during the Thatcher time. And essentially I think she is a very like sort of motherly, caring person, so she's the one that performs all those sorts of duties in the squat, and then I think people just use that to kind of take advantage of her as they grow and grow more into, I guess, some of the devious things that they are doing. So this is one I'm really looking forward to, but I'm going to talk about the next book, and that's the one I'm going to read first. So the other book that I picked up is The Golden Notebook, and this is about the story of Anna Wolfe. But she has 4 notebooks that she writes in about the different parts of her life. So it says here, the black notebook records her writing life, the red her political views, the yellow notebook her emotional life, and the blue everyday events. But it's the 5th notebook, the golden notebook, that brings together the strands of her life, that brings the strands of her life together and holds the key to her recovery. So essentially the reason why she writes all of these notebooks is because she feels like she's going mad. And I laugh at the like sort of different notebooks that she has, because I have different notebooks and it purely is for recording purposes, of just like recording different things that you don't feel fit into certain things. But yeah, I just found it kind of funny that it was like fearful of going mad, and I'm like, I'm not fearful of going mad, just forgetting things. I also think some things belong in different places. So I'm really intrigued to read this, because again, this has had really high praise. So I'm really glad I managed to get these two books. I think the other one was £1, yeah, and this one was also £1. So I was just like, absolute bargains in that shop. I was just like, I need to buy everything here. So if we move away from the Wemyss bookshop, there's a couple of other ones I have to show you, but I'll show them later. This is The Trees by Percival Everett. In all honesty, this was given to me by a friend, so it won't be one that I run to read immediately, but I can see it was shortlisted actually for the Booker Prize last year. And this is set in Mississippi, and I'm just going to read the back because again it's one that I didn't know anything about, but my friend was like, I don't want to take this book back with me, you can have it. So at least if I read the blurb and it is of interest to you, you will have more of a better understanding of what the book is about. So it says, a pair of detectives from the Mississippi Bureau arrive to investigate a series of brutal murders. The murders present a puzzle, for at each crime scene there is a second dead body, that of a man who resembles Emmett Till, a young black boy lynched in the same town 65 years before. The detectives suspect that these are killings of retribution, but soon discover that eerily similar murders are taking place all over the country. Something truly strange is afoot. As the bodies pile up, the NBI detectives seek answers from a local root doctor who has been documenting every lynching in the country for years, uncovering a history that refuses to be buried. In this bold, provocative book, Everett takes direct aim at racism and police violence, and does so in a fast-paced style that ensures the readers can't look away. The Trees is an enormously powerful novel of lasting importance. Personally, I'm not the type of person, I don't read a lot of books set in like the American South. I don't like to read about books with lynching and all those sort of horrific things that happen to African Americans. But I'm prepared to give this one a go. But like I said, it's not going to be one that I rush to very quickly. Next we have this book, which is Their Eyes Are Watching God by Zora Neale Hurst. If you watched my video about 4 videos ago, which was like talking about the longest books on my sort of currently reading list, you will know that this book was one of them. And I was actually listening to it in audiobook format. I believe I actually bought it on the Kindle and then struggled with it, so I listened to the audiobook, and I actually didn't end up finishing the book. I simply picked up this book because of the cover. It's a Virago edition and Virago Hachette, so the office were giving away free copies, and I think it'd been there for a couple of weeks. So I was like, I feel like me taking a copy simply because I love the cover design is fine, because I'm not taking away the book from anyone. And it simply is, I just think this is gorgeous. Like, it's just stunning, and whilst I am not going to read it, I hope that once I have it on my shelf in like my own place, that someone will come visit my house and be like, you know what, I really wanted to read this book, and they'll be able to read it. They will be able to enjoy it, because I know I'm not going to ever read this book, but I just went for style. I simply just went for the fact that the cover is stunning and I want this edition. So if you don't know what this book is about, again, that is one I'm going to read the blurb, because even though I read about half of it, and that doesn't encompass the whole story. I say half, it's probably like a quarter of it. So it says here, when at 16 Janie is caught kissing shiftless Johnny Taylor, her grandmother swiftly marries her off to an older man with 60 acres. Janie endures 2 stifling marriages before she finally meets the man of her dreams, who offers not diamonds but a packet of flowering seeds. Again, this is a book set in the American South, and I do believe a lot of it will talk about the fact that Janie had these really difficult marriages. I believe there is also a lot of talk about like female friendship. I feel like I remember that from the bit that I read. And in a way, Memphis, the kind of vibe of Memphis and the female friendships that have been formed, reminds me of what I've read so far in this. A proof copy that I received, or rather a finished copy, which I did show in one of my reading vlogs, is Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers by Jessie Santanto. She is the author of the Auntie series, and I have done a book review video of those 2 books because I just found them very funny and entertaining. But when this came up, I was like, oh, I'm intrigued to see like what she's written about in this sense. It's still a murder mystery, and I believe it is about Vera Wong. She enjoys nothing more than sipping a good cup of oolong and doing some healthy detective work on the internet. But when Vera wakes up one morning to find a dead man in the middle of her tea shop, it's going to take more than just a strong, long gin to fix things. Knowing she could do a better job possibly than the police, because nobody sniffs out wrongdoings quite like her suspicious Chinese mother with time on her hands, Vera decides it's down to her to catch the killer. So this is quite nice. In the way, it's still in the same vein of the Auntie series because she's writing from the perspective of an older woman. So that'll be interesting to see. One detective mystery series that I really like, there's only 2 in the series now, is An Elderly Lady Is Up to No Good. And I do like those sort of funny musings about life and just, you know, what today's generation is like. So I wonder if this will have a bit of that in it. But I cannot wait to read this. Not sure when I'm going to pick it up, but definitely it's going to hopefully fill the whole of detective mysteries for me. A book that I got a while ago, again this was a proof copy, so this isn't the final copy, the final cover, sorry, is Womb. This is the inside story of where we all began, and this is by Leah Hazard. Again, this is published by Virago, so I managed to get a proof copy of it, and as in a proof copy through work. And this I just wanted to read because I don't, like, this is going to sound really bad. Also, I don't think it is because I don't think a lot of women know. But I don't know much about the womb. I know the very basic stuff, but anything deeper? No. Obviously, this book covers everything to do with the womb. It has a couple of, like, sort of probing questions here. Can the womb control contraception? Are periods optional? Is the womb connected to the brain? Will science replace the need for the womb? What does all of this mean for human rights? And it says here, bringing together medical history, scientific discoveries, and journalistic exploration, Leah Hazard traverses the globe in search of the truth about one of the most under-researched and important organs of the body, talking to boundary-breaking scientists and activists working in the field. So it's quite different. I thought initially that it was just going to be from a very scientific background, but the fact that it includes kind of journalistic elements and what was the other bit? Medical history. It could make for a well-rounded book. I always take a lot of these books with a pinch of salt because I think sometimes people can be quite biased, but also there's always new research coming out. But you know what? I don't know anything about this topic, so I'm going to delve into it with an open mind. Another proof that I got from work is The Quiet Tenant, and this is a thriller book. I am looking forward to reading this. Oh God, just because I haven't read a lot of thrillers recently. I kind of feel like I go through this stage where I'm like, yes, I'm going to read a thriller, I'm going to really enjoy it, and then I listen to it or I read it and I'm like, I absolutely hate this and I hate this genre. But I'm always willing to give it another go just in case there is one that just, you know, just tops it all. And sometimes there are some, but this is about, this comes with a lot of, like, obviously this is a proof version, so it comes with this little flap and that's like the front cover, but then it also came with some other bits of marketing. So we have a postcard, a bookmark, and then just the poster about the book, which just, you know, or a press release about the book. Ah, it's a woman. I thought this was a man. Interesting. So even though I have actually looked this book up on Amazon, I'm not entirely sure what it's about, but the blurb at the back is very sparse, but it says here, behind closed doors lies a terrible secret. He took you and you have been his for 5 years, but you have been careful, waiting for him to mess up. It has to be now. And then it says, this is a novel about control, violence and fear, but in a way which only the women get to speak and not the man who holds such power over their lives. That is very, very, like, what's the word I'm looking for? I want to say ominous. It tells you absolutely nothing about this, so I'm looking forward to it. I don't know when I'm going to get the chance to read this because I have had this for a couple of months, I would say, but hopefully at some point I'll be like, you know what, I'm in the mood for a thriller, and then this is the first one that I'm going to pick up. So another proof copy that we have, and this is Sensitive by Jen Granham and Andrea Solo, and this is published by Penguin. And this, again, I've spoken about this in another video, but this reminds me of that book Silence, and I'll put the cover up here because I said that in the exact same video about the book it reminds me of. Quiet by Susan Cain, I believe. And it says here, Sensitive, the hidden power of the highly sensitive person in a loud, fast, too much world. I'm just intrigued to read this because I do feel like I'm a sensitive person and do find a lot of things very overwhelming. So I just wanted to see what the sort of latest, I guess, research, insights into this sort of thing was. I don't know that I have read Quiet. I feel like it was on my list for a very long time, but I didn't read it. But along with the proof copy came this sheet which has a little like checklist of, I guess, things that make you a sensitive person. And then you've got the press release as well. So, like, a couple of questions from it from the press release. It says, do you have a heightened sense of empathy? Do you notice tiny details that others don't? Do you ever feel overwhelmed in busy, loud environments? If you answered yes to any of these questions, chances are you're a highly sensitive person. Yada 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 yada. Sensitive will shatter the myth that being sensitive is a weakness and celebrate the power of a deeper, more tuned in mind. Offering new ways of unlocking potential, it will give sensitives and those who care about them the tools to be successful in work, school, life and love. Based on more than 20 years of research in neuroscience, psychology and human genetics, it will be the first book to explore the science of sensitivity. So, sounds like an interesting one. Again, I am reading a non-fiction book at the moment which deals with neuroscience and neuroplasticity, so I'm not really sure when I'll get around to this because I'm trying to think of what my next non-fiction read will be, and I know for a fact it's not this one, but hopefully I'll get around to this during the summer, I'm going to say. So that actually completes the haul in terms of like fiction and non-fiction books. And then I've got some cookery books that I picked up from Wemyss Bay, and they were in the section that was 3 for £1. I don't think my May, does it fall in May? I think it does fall in May. Yeah, I don't think my May reading vlog will have gone up at this point, so you won't see the clips from it. But they had this section which was 3 books for like £1 or something, and I was like, huh? And it's obviously because a lot of the books are quite old, so I don't know, I'm just a little bit obsessed with these old style cookery books. And I say old style, obviously it was just the style of cookery books in that time. But particularly with like some of these desserts, so I just feel like when you go around to someone's house and it's like, oh, my nan made this, and it's like some old school dessert, like those cakes, bang, they taste so good, and you're just like, wow. So this is 30 classic cakes. I'm not actually a baker. I will bake things occasionally, but I find baking to be not my bag because very much it is an exact science, and I am someone who cooks, and with cooking you can do whatever you want, you know, you can freestyle, but with baking, freestyle and your cake is looking like God knows what. So I just picked this up because I was like, you know what, I would like to bake some more, and I love the look of this recipe book, and it does have some really good looking recipes in here which I feel like I only ever really like see on old school TVs. Like, this is a jeweled cake, I believe. Yeah, a jeweled cake. And it's just like, I guess it's like dried fruit on top. Yeah, chopped mixed candied fruit. But it has like a recipe for a strawberry shortcake. It's like a really kind of like old school recipe, I suppose. And it just has loads of, obviously it's got carrot cake, it's got chocolate cake, it's got like all the sort of like classics, you know, but I just want to see what they taste like and have a chance to make them. It's got an apple crumble cake, which I have never had before. It's got a sour cream crumble cake, which I actually really want to make. So it's got loads of books. Hopefully here I will be showing you cutaways. So I picked this one up. And then the other one I picked up was this, which is Chocolate Heaven. Again, sorry, the light's shining on it. There you go. Again, this just features loads of chocolate recipes and they look delicious. Again, it's just that style of the cookbooks that you just kind of don't see now. So yes, very happy that I picked this. It's got so many delicious looking cakes. So yeah, that was the other one that I picked up. And then finally, I picked up this massive one, right? I don't know when I'm ever gonna like really cook from this, but I just wanted to have this. I feel like when you watch kind of old school English, British things, there's someone with a massive cookbook, right? And all the cookbook just looks like this. And I'm just like, I need pictures in my cookbook, and obviously these have pictures, but this has so many words, Jesus Christ. But I'm just more intrigued by what these recipes are and what people were cooking at the time, so that's why I picked this one up. And of course, like I said, it was 3 for £1. If it had been any more, I probably wouldn't have picked it up. But yeah, that is it for this book haul. So thank you very much for watching. Let me know if any of these books take your fancy, and I'll catch you in another video. Bye.